What is up, Ham Radio? Kilo Echo 8, Papa Zulu November, the Ham Radio Adventure Guy. Thanks for stopping by. Your one stop for everything Adventure Radio. It is Hump Day. That means it's time for the Hump Day hour, happy hour, and time for your ears to bleed for that walk in. I love that stuff. I swear I wish I could just play it the whole stream. You guys would love that, wouldn't you? I know I would. Let's give some shout outs first. We're going to give some shout outs to the Patreons because you know what? They have me so close to my goal right now. I'm so close to being full-time YouTube, and they are the biggest part in that. There's other reasons, but they are the biggest part, and I appreciate them very much. Who I also appreciate, and I haven't never done this shout-out before, but I've given them a shout-out, but I ain't never put them on the board, is the YouTube members. Even though the Pota Activators and Pota Rovers look lonely, guys, they probably need some people to join them over there, but
come join me.
You know, shout out to them as well. They're also green in the chat, or they're blue if they're an administrator already. And then we got this quarter's Adventure Club, and Kilo 8 Golf Quebec with his off-stream donation is right back trying to do it again. He does this every quarter. You know, he's like, I'm going to be the number one dog. I'm going to be the number one dog. And then Dan goes and buys Sea-Doos and stuff. And, you know, it just tears him up over time. But thank you.
I think he better buy a hover around this time.
Thank you very much, Terry, for the off-stream donation. It was very nice. I actually called him and thanked him for it since I didn't notice it immediately. Of course, he did it at like 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that. But thank you very much for that, Terry. We appreciate you and all the Adventure Club. Oh, and everybody that's on the chat tonight. I seen the chat filling up. Reed's in the chat. Dawn's in the chat. Andy Callie. Ken's in the chat. And a couple Ken's in the chat. I actually got Mr. Smoke Signal Park to Park a little bit ago.
Yeah.
Always nice to get him on the air. He hunts me quite a few. He's hunted me quite a few times, but that I'm not going to say it's our first Park to Park, but first one I remember in a while for sure. So good to see him back out in the park. Because I'll tell you what, the very first Pota video I ever watched was Don Izzo's Pota video.
It's always good to hear him, man. It's always good to hear anybody QRP because it's not very often.
You know, my dad's radio started it because I heard the Pota station on there and I had to see what it was. And I went to YouTube and Don Izzo is who I found. And, you know, I started watching it. And you know, it makes it even funnier because the video I watched, I was like, man, he's got a cool antenna that hooks to the back of his vehicle too. And that happens to be my favorite antenna to this day. I didn't get that immediately, but I did end up getting that. Not realizing it was that antenna that he had in that video. But, you know, I was still using that same antenna and loving it to death. So, good stuff. How you been, Dan?
It's the Pota antenna, as far as I'm concerned. And I have an arsenal of antennas, and I love it. I'm doing good, man. It's been a good week so far. So.
You know, I can't speak for the West Coast, okay, because I haven't activated out on the West Coast and stuff like that. But I can speak for the East Coast. And as far as the East Coast is concerned, the Eagle One antenna is the 891 of Pota.
Yeah, and he's exactly right. It slays the 40.
Yeah, you can't touch that thing on 40. And I will tell you what, even though people say it's not great on 20, I got accused of running a kilo in the park today. Guy said, "What are you running, a kilo?"
I hit you on like 1 watt on 20 meters, and you were like 30 over here. So I said, "I'm just going to drop to 1 rod. He'll still hear me."
Well, it's called being on top of the mountain at Chief Logan. That's my favorite spot to park for 20 meters for sure. But I was telling Terry today. I was talking to Terry because you know it's toward the end of the year. It's the fall months when I like to start making my contacts and picking up a little bit of steam for the year. And I said I've been trying to park in higher spots to where I can run 22. And I'm sure people's noticed that I've run quite a bit of 20 lately. So
sounded good on it. So 20 right now is on fire.
It is.
Both long and short right now. I was working Tennessee from Georgia. I worked David in North Carolina. He was 20 over, and then I worked California. It's running really weird right now.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. One day, a couple of weeks ago, man, it was stupid short. Like, I mean, it was like 80 meters short. Which,
yeah.
People say 80 meters is short, but I'll do good on 80 meters. I can get Texas real easy on 80 meters. But
I'm just glad you don't. I'm just glad you don't try it at 2:30 in the afternoon.
Well, you got to try the bands when they're open. So that's why I have a difficulty working Hawaii and Alaska, even though I've got them in the log and stuff. I have a difficulty because they want to run 20 meters at 12 o'clock at night, and 20 meters in West Virginia just doesn't pull that off very well. So, but surprisingly, 160 wouldn't work very well last night either.
Missed it, man. I was at the airport and my ATAS 120 won't tune 160, and I thought about just stopping right there in the parking lot and throwing up the end-fed because I can get 160 out of that. And,
you kind of missed an epic activation. Yeah, you got me right there at the late shift, and I know you had to go pick up your mom and dad from the airport. But so Terry needed 15 contacts to make an eagle, and I didn't know that David went out and got him an eagle that day too. But he was trying to get his 25th eagle for that award.
You should be able to get him 15. Yeah.
Yeah, he needed 15 contacts. And you know what? I pulled 15 contacts off. I did 2 bands of AM, did a bunch of CW. I did a lot of stuff last night, but it was pretty good activation. 384 contacts last night, so I'll take it.
Yeah, oh yeah. I saw that spot on 160 come through my phone, and I was like, damn it. Because I know I need that park on 160,
I'm sure your phone was just blowing up, and you was like, "What is he doing tonight?" I was surprised how well I did on AM. I did really good. I did 80 and 40 meters AM, and I think I got way over activated just on AM. So
we've been doing a lot more AM here lately. Golf Alpha Reese Cup has been doing some AM, and it's surprising how well he sounds. I mean, it's clear. It's better fidelity. Obviously, you got both sidebands, but
yeah,
it sounds really good.
I'll have to look at the log, but I'm pretty sure I even got Florida on AM. And,
nice.
And I can only run 25 watts on AM. So, but anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about Pota tonight. Surprise. Not that it's not what we always talk about, but we're going to talk about reasons why you should do Pota. And you know what, Dan? If you have reasons why you should, I've got a list of them. But if you have reasons, I'm going to let you say your reasons first, because that way, if they're on my list and you don't have many, you may have more than me. I don't know.
I got to think off the top of the cuff here. You put me on the spot.
Then I'll start.
No, I got it. I'm all nervous now, but you got me. I'm your Huckleberry. It's fun. Are you talking about hunting or activating or both, or just Pota in general?
Just Pota in general.
Okay. The Hamley that you're going to make, you're not going to, and what I mean by a Hamley is the folks you're going to talk to all the time, and you're going to get a rapport with them when you work them a lot. You'll start knowing their call signs. You'll know their first name, and you say, "Hey, John, good to hear you again." 5'9" in Georgia, and they were like, "Hey, Dan, good to hear you." And the camaraderie, and it's a good place to learn, especially if you're getting into CW. Excellent learning ground for CW.
The family is definitely on my list, and I agree with that. The people I have met doing Pota, they're family to me now.
Yep.
I have more conversations with people. Some of these people I've never even met in person. A lot of them, I've met a lot of them in person too, but you know, I've met a whole lot, but there's people that I have never even met in person that I have way more conversations with than I have my own family here recently. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that's crazy. But it's they're just religious, and even though if you get in my pile ups, on late shift and stuff like that, even though you're just hearing me say 5'9", blah blah park, 73 QRZ, once you start hunting me so much, you start to feel like you know me too, and and they'll reach out to me, they'll email me, and they'll ask me questions. Hey, what do you do for it? What do you do for it? Just because I'm a speed activator does not mean that I don't talk to people, because I talk to a lot of people, and I like to go out and activate with other people and stuff like that. I can't tell you, I really would like to sit down and figure out how many people I've actually activated with, because it's quite a bit. So yeah, I see Eddie's wanting rid of that tie. I don't know if I mentioned that, but fifth.
Haven't even popped up yet. Oh, there we go.
Fifth through 10th place in that adventure club is a tie right now. So Eddie just popped that tie really quick. It is the beginning of the fourth quarter, so it's always tied up there at the beginning. But thank you very much, Eddie. We appreciate you. But I've met so many people and activated with so many people, and Pota people will do anything for you. It's just unreal. Like, I could guarantee you that if I broke down on the East Coast somewhere and I just got into the Pota page and said, "Hey, y'all, I'm broke down here. Is there somebody that could help me?" I would guarantee you I would get a response.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You,
And
you know,
you already know that's true from your last trip back home from Florida too. So I mean, yeah,
you know,
big
and
hammer.
I wasn't even reaching out for help then. You
Mhm.
know, so if you don't know the story, you probably do, because I talk about it all the time. But I was on my way back from Florida, and it is a 2-part trip. So I ride from Florida to DC. There we go. Working on CW. That is amazing right there. And I'm going to touch on all the people that work on CW because of Pota, even because of me, even. But I was on my way back, and you go from Florida to DC, and then you have a layover, and then you go from DC to Charleston, West Virginia, and then I get off and drive home. So I am 25 minutes out from DC, and my phone goes off, and it says, "Your train from Washington, D.C. to Charleston, West Virginia is canceled." And I'm like, "Well, I'm 25 minutes out. I'll just find out what's going on when I get to the train station." So I get to the train station, and now listen, I've had good results with Amtrak. That, yeah, you get some delays and stuff like that, but the people normally are really good people. Well, I did not get the good person that day. So
you got somebody that needed a Snickers bar.
Yeah, she needed a Snickers bar. So I go in there and I was like, what's going on? My train's canceled. Well, there was a train derailment and they got to clean the tracks. I said, okay, put me on the next train. Well, the train don't run till Friday. This is Wednesday. I was like, okay, well, put me on the next train. Well, we're not giving you a room. All right, first off, you're supposed to give me a room, but I wasn't even asking for that. I said, I'm not asking for a room. I'm asking you to put me on the next train. Well, we can send you back to Florida for free right now. I don't want to go back to Florida. I just paid a big sum of money to leave Florida and ride on this train for the last 12 hours. Do you think I want to ride 12 hours right back and just, oh, we're good now? No. So she puts me on the next train, and I go over and I get me a piece of pizza from Sobrano's there. Sobrano's pizza, that's good. Anytime there's Sobrano's pizza, you got to eat it.
That's true.
But so I'm like, I got to activate. I'm not even thinking motel right now. I'm like, I got to activate for today. So I message Carrie, Kilo Bravo 3, Whiskey Alpha Victor, one of my YouTube members. I was like, Carrie, I am stuck in DC and I need to activate. I was like, can you help me when you get off work? And she messaged me back in a bit. She's like, I can do better than that. Let me get a hold of Ray and we'll come and get you and take you home and we'll just activate all the way there. And I'm like, sweet.
Not cool, yeah.
So
now it's a rove.
So she comes, picks me up, and we have to go get Ray at their house and change vehicles. So we stop and do a four-for real quick, of course. We stop and do a four-for, and then we go to her house and we pick up Ray. And by the way, Ray has a really cool military truck at his house. That's all I'm going to say. But we leave and start heading there, and we get into West Virginia and stop at the first park in West Virginia, which is Cooper's Rock. I love Cooper's Rock, by the way. And we get there and we break down. Now their AAA or whatever they had, we'll tow them 300 miles from their house. We are 277.
Wow.
So they were golden. So they called that, and I called another Pota person. I called Terry, and I was like, "Hey man, can you come to Morgantown, which is about a 3-hour drive for him, 3.5 maybe?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got you." So we sit there and we activate while they're waiting on a tow truck, and I'm waiting on Terry. And another ham came out and checked on us while we were there. So they'll do anything for you, and it's just amazing. Just like, I activate all the time. Would I have sat in that park that long and did all those different bands if somebody didn't need 15 contacts? Probably not. No. Actually, yeah. I guarantee you, because first off, tuning the Eagle One on 160 is a little bit of finesse. I'm going to tell you, it's not just something turn the dial and you're there. You got,
especially if you don't have any extra wire on top of it,
which I don't. And I have to finesse that, so I rarely go to 160. And but yeah, Terry's like, man, I would have never thought in a million years you would have got me my Eagle tonight.
Yeah, I mean the Pota fam has your back for sure. I mean, let's like hypothetically, if you were to be going to a park and you get stuck in the mud, you can post on Discord and say, "Hey, Robbie, help," and he'll come and get you with a Jeep. Hypothetically, if that happens to anybody.
Hypothetically, yeah. So yeah, definitely the Pota family. That's a good reason. Another reason, you're a ham radio operator. What else are you going to do? Yes, there's a lot of other things to do in ham radio, but I mean, really, if you scroll the bands on an average day, you're going to come across a Pota station. Maybe once in a while, a random guy calling CQ. Maybe somebody hunting for some DX. And about 40 or 50 stations of old ratchety men talking about their colonoscopy and their wife's ham salad.
Yeah.
And, they're the ones that don't want you to do the Pota, because if, Lord, heaven forbid, you get on their frequency that they own, that they supersede the FCC and they own that frequency, because that's where them and Bill will meet when Bill gets back from the general store in a little bit. You say it's this frequency in use after you've listened to it for 5 minutes. Yeah, it's in use. Oh, okay.
They turn their volume up to 10, and then they go to the other room and they're way clear across the house, and then they hear from their shack, "Is this frequency in use?" And then they got to run across the house. "Yeah, it's in use. We've been here since 1944.
Last night on 80 meters, this was a good one. On 80 meters, is this frequency in use? Nothing. Is this frequency in use? Nothing. My third and final time, is this frequency in use? And I'm getting ready to spot. And it's going, I said, I didn't understand the word you said, but I'm guessing this frequency's in use. Oh, yeah. I was asleep. You know, and I'm in a good mood because I'm having fun in the park. You know, it's pitch black and I'm an idiot out in the woods for no reason. But but I wanted to just ask that guy. So you were asleep and nobody's talking on the frequency and this thing's in use. Gotcha, but I understand. But I just let it go and went up a little bit. But
It's like who you waiting on there, guy? The sugar plums or something? I mean, the fairies to start dancing.
You know what? I'm going to put this out there right now. Everybody, do not get on 7269 from now on because that is my frequency. It's in use. I'm just waiting on my grandson to grow up a little bit and get his license so we can talk there. So don't get on that frequency. It now belongs to me. Which for some reason is now probably the hottest Pota frequency there is. Everybody wants to go where James goes. And I have to move now. I still go there a good bit, but not nowhere near like I used to. Because about every time I go to the spot, somebody's there now. And I don't even know why I started going there, but because it's really annoying because there's so many nets that run on 7268.
Oh, I know why. Because it's the same reason why like 14269.
Yeah, probably.
Or 3869.
But really, you know, yes, there's a lot more things to do, and we're going to get into that. Matter of fact, we'll get into that the next reason. You're going to, if you start poting, you're going to experiment with a lot more stuff, especially if you're a person like me. So, you know, I'm the sideband king. I ain't going to lie. I love sideband. I got to have more contacts than everybody in the universe on sideband, and that's just who I am. But I like to do different things. I'm like, what's a different way that I can make a Pota contact? You know, last year I got really hard on the SSTV Pota kick. And, you know, I'd get done at the end of the night and I would sit in the park, which is weird because everybody knows I'm a speed activator and get out of the park. But my last activation every night, you can ask the guys in my Discord, I would sit there for an extra hour to make maybe 10 contacts because SSTV is slow, guys. You know, I'd sit there for an extra hour and just goof off sending SSTV Pota, and had a blast doing it. You know, and you know, first off, I wouldn't be on the radio if it wasn't for Pota. But if I was, let's just say I was.
Same here.
I wouldn't have been doing SSTV until that. You know. I'm now learning to hunt satellites. I'm building my arsenal right now. I've not tried it yet, but I'm building up my whole kit to start running satellites. Yes, I'm going to start just hunting satellites, but the reason I'm doing it is so I can schedule. Nobody owns a frequency. Congratulations, you are correct.
CQ Arxpay on the array.
You know, I could do a whole activation in Minganese, which would probably be harder to understand than Pig Latin. But you know, Kyle hasn't hunted me in a while. You know what? The next time Kyle hunts me, it's going to be straight. It's going to be a Minganese QSO for sure. Even if it's on CW, Kyle. I will send your call sign correctly, but everything after that will be spoken in Minganese. But yeah, I'm learning to do satellites so I can schedule an activation around when satellites coming through, so I can make some satellite photo contacts. So you're going to try to experiment with some new stuff and learn new stuff that you may have tried it anyway. But Pota is going to push you to do more of it. At least it does me. You know, I definitely never thought in a million years that I would be doing CW. My dad was a big CW buff, and it really means a lot to me that I'm doing CW now because he was. But first off, I'm deaf in one ear. And I just, when I would hear it, it meant nothing to me. like it was just straight noise. And if you ask Kyle, my pileups on CW are just straight. They're just a creaking, a squeaky gate is what he calls them.
Squeaky or rusty gates. Yeah.
But I never thought that I'd do CW. And, Pota inspired me. Well, I need more contacts. I'm not a digital guy. That's not me. To me, digital is just boring. If you do it, that's good for you. If you like it, that's cool. But that's not my cup of tea. But CW, I didn't think I would like it at all. But I set that goal last year, and Kyle made sure that I completed that goal by the end of the year and get that activation. And that's funny because I did that my first activation December 31st. The last.
You waited like the last hour.
No, it wasn't the last hour.
It was close.
But I waited December, and here's the thing: I've done a CW activation every day since. Am I good on CW? I think not. Some people say I'm good on CW now. I don't think I am. I think I'm horrible. I do plan on learning a lot more in CW. Because I don't feel like, yes, I do have, close to 1,600 CW contacts now. But
1,000. Not 100, 16,000.
Yeah, 16,000. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I still
I'm really going to stretch myself this year, and I'm going to set my goal to 5,000 CW contacts.
Here we go.
16,000 contacts later. I did it.
Shut up, Dan. Shut up.
It's awesome, dude. I mean, you blew it out of the water.
So I'm an overachiever, okay? and here's the funny thing. I get a lot of people that tell me, well, you set your goals too low. And my response to them is, okay, you do the same goal.
Right.
I got a guy who one guy in particular, and typically I would call his name out, and he knows who he is, and he's probably thinking, why did he not call me out on it? I'm not even gonna call your name out right now, but he was one of the people who learned CW to try to hunt me, and there are over 30 people I know that I've introduced to CW just specifically because I'm the award giver. That I give out the papers. You follow me and you hunt me, you get those awards quickly. And they're like, oh man, this guy's getting this way more contacts with him because he's doing CW. And I can name 30 people right off the bat that have done it. But he's one of those that I won't say is in that 30, but he's hunted me a few times at CW, but he's given up on it now because he says it's too hard. But he tells me all the time, said, you set your goal at 5,000. That was just too easy for you. I was like, well, then you do 5,000 CW contacts. He's like, oh, no. So, if it's too hard for you to do, don't say it's too easy for me. That's for sure. But it's a good time. And I really enjoy it.
That's a really good point. You can get a lot of parks that are solely activated by CW for the most part. A lot of new to me parks come CW.
Absolutely. And that's Mike from Florida right there. And he hunts me quite a bit in CW too. Doing a really good job, Mike. I always, here's the thing. This is why I'm not a good CW operator. Okay. Yes, I have almost 16,000 QSOs, but I need somebody to send their call properly to me. You know what I'm saying? If you can't send good CW, I can't decode your CW very well.
You don't like cootie keys and bugs and stuff like that?
There's somebody, I don't know who he is, but I feel so. Listen, I'm sorry. I apologize if it's you, but there is one guy particularly, I have no clue what his call sign is. And he hunts me every single day and has never gotten in my log because I'll get maybe one letter and like, it is funny because I try to remember the letter that I got the last time or something so I can put it all together in a month or something. because he tries every day, but he sends so weird. Like it's, like maybe he's sending, like for your, let's say your call sign, maybe he's sending Whiskey Delta at 25 words a minute, and then he's sending the 4 at 7 words a minute with no spacing from the Delta to the 4, and then no spacing to the next Delta, and he sends it at 12 words. It's so weird, and I can't get him. Like I cannot, and I feel so bad because I can't work this guy. And if Bill Brown was there, he'd be like, "Oh, that's just this guy. How can you not hear that?"
Yeah, stupid.
Or if you send your call at 7 words a minute, you can forget it because all I'm hearing is da 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 da. I can't. I don't count, guys. I do not count. I hear letters, so and I apologize. But I'm one day.
David said it was him on a cootie key. Are the dits really close together and the DAWs are like random lengths?
Dude, I don't know.
Yeah. It takes my ear a while to get used to those.
So Kilo Quebec 4 CW. So David, if it is you, I apologize. And the next time that call comes in, I'm going to send that back and see if you answer me. I'm writing it down right now. Kilo Quebec 4 CW, and don't think I won't send this.
That's great. But no, like cootie keys are hard for me to listen to, but somebody on a straight key that has a good fist for me is a beautiful thing to listen to because it's not as robotic as a paddle. You know what I mean? There's some flavor in there. Like Ray, Kilo Charlie 3 Romeo Whiskey was using a straight key the last couple of times he activated. And it's just like his rhythm sending 599. It's just awesome to listen to.
And David, if that is you, I'm going to tell you, you got a good signal to me. It's just me. I'm a bad CW operator. Watch. I'm going to feel so bad if I send it back to him and he answers right away. I'm like, oh my God.
Now, every time you hear a cootie key, you're going to think, oh, that's David. Somebody from Venezuela is going to call you. Be like, okay, that's him.
Anybody sends me the cootie key is David. I mean, David's like, why is he logging me so much? And here's another thing. CW people are just like sideband people. You get close to their call, and it's totally not their call. They will answer right back and go in the log as somebody else and then message you just like they do in sideband. And like, why didn't you put me in your log? Because I didn't work you, bud.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I heard an Alpha November in my pile up, and I thought it was Dan, and I sent back Whiskey Delta 4 Delta Alpha November, and the guy sent back 5 Indian, and then he put a different state, and that was the only thing that saved him. And I come back again, and then he put his call sign. And
what's funny about that? Yeah, I mean, if I ever send you, or if somebody you think it's me ever sends you a 5 NN, you automatically know it ain't me.
Yeah, I know because Dan's is break.
Yeah.
When I send to Dan, he goes break wolf.
Wolf.
So, and most of the time, unless I'm in a zone, I send him back wolf. But sometimes I don't. Sometimes my hands just ain't working. That excites me. I'm gonna try the Mr. Cootie Key back and see if it's David. Oh, but and you mentioned straight key. I have been thinking the other day because this is a preview of my next year's goal. I'm upping my CW game next year.
5,000 on a straight key.
I'm not saying I'm doing more CW. I'm saying I'm upping my game as I'm going to become a better CW operator next year. That's so. But when I was thinking about that the other day, I was like, I'm gonna pull out Dad's straight key, and I'm gonna start learning this in on that. Even though everybody said you should have learned that to start with, but that's not what my intentions were, But I do want to learn to send on that for sure. All right, what do I got next on my list here? I wrote these things down because we all know I get sidetracked and forget. Practicing emergency preparedness. So this won't help you if you're a hunter so much, but if you are an activator, pretty much ham radio, was meant for emergency preparedness, to help out with hurricanes and natural disasters and stuff like that. And that's where a lot of people get into ham radio. And I'll tell you what, you can't be more prepared for emergency preparedness than a person that goes out and sets up portable every single day of their life. Like, I guarantee you, I could probably go to some, event, some races or something event, and they'd be sitting there and taking forever to set up. I'm like, guys, let me do this, and then I'd have them up and running like it's nothing. It's just crazy. A matter of fact, I'll tell you a funny story. So Tristan, the owner of Eagle One, he goes up every year and works the rally, what are those cars called, Dan? They race through the woods.
The rally cars?
Rally cars. Yeah. He goes up and works the rally cars. Travis, he's met Travis Pastrana and everything. And but he goes up and works them as a ham radio operator. And it's funny because he showed up the very first time and he had his little he had his go box, has his 2 meter, his HF radio, and they're all looking at him like, "Oh, look at you, Mr. Ham radio operator," blah 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 blah, and saying this and that, and they get set up. The points that they're there couldn't even reach each other on 2 meters. They're too far because they got these little, rubber ducky antennas and stuff, and so he has to end up throwing up a J pole up in a tree and stuff like that, and getting them contact and stuff. And it's funny because the next year they put him over top of things, over top of his station and stuff. So it's really funny that, because they're like, "Oh, we're racies. We know what we're doing." And not that they don't. I'm not knocking on racies again. I'm just saying you're probably not as prepared as a guy who even goes out 4 or 5 times a month and sets up a Pota station, because that guy goes out constantly, and he knows, things break. He knows, I got to have extra this. I got to have extra that. I need this. In this situation, I should do this. It's a lot more practice than you get just going to a meeting or checking in on your races net on 2 meters, so it's really good practice for that. And I think a lot of people should, a lot of races and areas people should really think about getting into Pota and being activators, because it would be really good for them. All right, next on my list we got finding beautiful places. I'm an outdoors person. That's why Pota interested me so much. When I heard it on the radio, I was like, "Oh, you can go out into a park and do radio. That's cool. That's up my alley." And I've done adventure racing. I've done a lot of hiking, and I'm used to going and seeing beautiful places. But I've also seen a lot of new beautiful places that I would not have been to if it wasn't for Pota. I activated every park in Delaware. I probably wouldn't even went to Delaware. I've been to Delaware before, but I probably, if it was, it's just to drive through it. It's not something that you just wake up and say, "I'm going to go to a park in Delaware." It's just not something I think of. There's places in Kentucky where I have lived that I've found some really cool, interesting things. I had been to every state park in West Virginia before I did Pota, but I had never been up on the trail on Lost River. And, that overlook is 5 counties and 2 states. You're going to find beautiful, beautiful stuff. And, even if you're just pull into park and activate, there's several places you can pull in with a view of a waterfalls or something that you may have never seen before. So it's just really good. There's nothing wrong, nothing wrong with activating in the car. I do it all winter long, so there's definitely nothing wrong with that. But if my ideal activation is to not so much, I like to do sodas every now and then. I'm just not in the shape to do a lot of them, which will lead me to another video later. But my ideal activation is get out to a park, throw up an in-fed, somewhere away from my vehicle, a couple 100 yards. I don't want to walk really far because I like to have a decent amount of equipment with me. But I can go as far as you want me to in the woods because I currently have a QRP bag that's probably about this big with everything I need in it to activate. So I got a video coming up on that too. Matter of fact, it's probably, if you're going to hunt me tomorrow morning, if it is not pouring the rain, my plan is to do Kanawha State Forest in the morning, and I will be hiking in to do the CW portion of my activation, and then after that I will QRT. But you'll notice I respot in that park a little bit later because when I get back to the car, I'll do sideband because my radio's not SSB. It's just a QRP, CW, and digital radio. But I want to try that thing out tomorrow.
Was that at Kanawha?
That is at Kanawha State Forest,
okay.
Not Kanawha. It is at Kanawha State Forest in Kanawha County, West Virginia.
Kanawha.
I love that. And everybody should look up the spelling of Kanawha County, West Virginia. And you will think, even Google Maps will tell you, turn onto Kanawha Boulevard. But if you get a speeding ticket there and go into the clerk's office, you'll find out really quick it's Kanawha County.
Is that how you figured out how to pronounce it?
No.
You got us. Oh, that's great.
No. But I have been in there and I have heard a judge tell the guy it is Kanawha County.
Yes, Your Honor. It is whatever you say it is, Your Honor.
My ticket was dropped. Thank you very much. I get lucky with those sometimes.
What happens when you walk into the courtroom in full royal garb? I mean, when I walk in and dude walks in front of me and tells the honor, says, "Please rise. The king is walking in." Yeah.
The first 3 times I didn't like that. They got used to it. They got used to it after that. Anyway, there's no reason why you shouldn't do Pota. Long story short, Pota's a great thing. It's changed my life.
Without Pota, I would have never known how to pronounce Kanawha.
Exactly. Dan's IQ just got better because he knows.
You learn.
He knows that it is Kanawha County, West Virginia, not Kanawha.
The first time I said it like it was written. I said Kanawha, and then everybody kind of went like this.
Oh, look at this manganese speaking guy.
What the hell did he just say? Kanawha? Not now.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that Terry probably lives in Kanawha County.
Y'all can start saying Kanawha now. St. Albans, West Virginia is pronounced Snobbins.
Well, I've not heard that one, and that's coming from Terry. So I don't, his picture's upside down. I'm not gonna vouch on that one.
Hey, Terry.
Terry has a favorite store in St. Albans. That's all I know. He shops there a lot. Anyway, all right, we're getting close to the top of that half hour. If there's anybody in the chat that wants to give us a good reason why you should Pota, make sure and tell us. But I can tell you this: if you have depression, Pota, activating Pota is for you, because it's the same thing as hiking in the woods. You get away and you clear your mind, and it does a lot of good things for you. After my dad passed, I've dealt with a lot of stuff from that.
Good one, Larry.
There's nothing, if you go back and I did a video in Huntsville, and it's how Pota changed your life, and I did random people, and I don't remember the guy that did it, but I will say I'm sorry for not remembering who it was. But he said, well, now on Saturday morning I don't have to watch have to help my wife do the dishes or do something.
Yeah.
And I lost it when he said that. He said, was that okay? I said, that was perfect.
Let me spin off into that. I hunted Bravo today before the stream, and he goes, Whiskey Delta 2, no, Whiskey Delta 4, Delta Alpha November, you're 5'9". It was an honest mistake by him. So I keyed up and goes, I learned how to count too. You're 5'9". It was great. Yeah, so in the chat, why did you start Pota, or what do you get out of Pota? Be interesting to see what everybody else has.
Dan learned something about Pota tonight. He learned how to say Kanawha County, and I learned that my mystery cootie key call might be Kilo Quebec 4CW. Now everybody who hunts me on a cootie key is going to get that back. They're like, why does he keep calling this guy?
Now we got a rush of them. All right, so you got the rush of the pileups, fun and relaxation. It is fun. It is relaxing. That is true. Gives you a reason to use HF, and also to teach you how to use your radio, use your filtering, use your notches, your contours, and everything else. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what. I am a general. I went through tech, general, and extra, and I studied for the test. Short periods of time, and I passed every one of my tests. And I'm going to tell you flat out, I learned absolutely nothing from doing those tests. Everything I know about the radio and stuff like that, I learned by doing radio. And of course, Pota is 99.9999999% of my radio. And so yeah, you definitely learn how to do a lot of cool stuff. And like I said, it's a lot of experimenting, a lot of fun. And here's the thing, just go on 40 meters one day and call CQ. Just call CQ40, and do it for an hour or do it for 30 minutes, and write down how many contacts you got. Then go into a Pota park and call CQ Pota for the same amount of time, and see the difference. You want to get on the radio? Something else. You got a buddy that's a ham, and he's scared to get on the radio. Throw him in a pileup. He'll be over that mic fright real quick.
That's a good one. The camaraderie of activating with others. So yeah, you form a little group that you like to go out and hit parks with, and I mean, you got Brian with the three amigos there.
Don't
know.
don't go with Brian.
No.
He tries to rub your leg.
Well, it's intentional. It's not necessarily a try.
Brian had to put up with me for a whole weekend.
That's the reason the Pota right there, ladies and gentlemen. The brisket.
There you go. If you do Pota and you're anywhere near Florida when the King does his Patreon meetup, you should probably try to find out that secret location, because that's where you'll find the best brisket ever.
And you'll probably find that secret location where? In the Discord.
That's right. In the Discord. The greatest
nice segue there.
The greatest informational Pota site there is the Ham Radio Adventure Guy Discord. You know, you don't have to hear all the whining and crybabying that you do on other sites. Oh, why did they do this and why did they do that? You just get straight Pota. I mean, it's amazing. Now, some of those other channels on there you might want to watch. They're a little crazy at times. But,
yeah, that's
but the one labeled Pota is a good place. All right. Looks like we're about wrapping it up. Dan, what you got coming up, bud?
Well, supposedly I'm going to be having Sandy's smoked ribs. Look forward to that. Apparently, they're supposed to be on par with Eddie's brisket. So she just posted that we haven't had her smoked ribs yet. So we need to plan on that sometime. But other than that, I don't have much coming up, buddy. What about you?
Smoked ribs
sound delicious.
That sounds pretty good.
Pork or beef?
And there's some parks pretty close to Sandy's house too. Oh, all right, but for myself, I'm going to the Patreon after chat after this and hanging out with those guys, and you know, probably talking about some Pota for a little bit, and I try lots of spots in the Discord that never make it to the Pota spot page, especially like if I'm on a speed road, like I'm trying to hurry, I can't spot my call sign. Because you spot my call sign, and it's
you're going to be there for a minute. Yeah,
I'll just go ahead and I'll put it to you in layman's terms here. So if you're a normal activator that goes out, 2-3 times a month or whatever, twice a week even, and you think you've done some serious Pota, and then you say, hey, I want to go activate with the King. And then you go activate the King, and you're like, oh, I'll log for you if you want. You probably don't want to do that. Oh, no, I'll log for you. Okay. And then I spot my call sign, and the radio goes off, and I see the deer in headlights in your eyes. And I'm like, yeah, let me take over that log for you, bud.
I'll just listen this time.
you just say your call sign when I hand you the mic. How about that? It's quite an I can't tell you the people that do Pota regularly, and then they activate with me, and they're like, whoa, what happened? Did the band magically open everywhere? Or
it's like somebody that drives a go-kart around the neighborhood thinking they can race an alcohol funny car.
Mm-hmm. It's just I don't know why it is like it is, but they're brutal. Whether it's CW, whether I recently put out my first ever CW video, and Kyle referred to my pileup as the sound of a squeaking gate or squeaky rusty gate opening and shutting over and over and over again.
That happened on our last activation. So Chris was running the mic, and I said, well, I spotted with my call sign, buddy. Hold on to your lug nuts there. And then the pile hit.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great.
So, but anyway, yeah, it's a different experience. We'll just say, And I tell people all the time, I do Pota Elmer a few people, and I tell them, you don't want to be an activator like me. You want to be an activator like you want to be. Do that, do that, do that. And some people do their own thing, thank goodness. But then there's the Pearson boys who, like, nope, we're a mirror. You look in it and you're gonna see yourself. And that's what they do. They activate like me. So, they're gonna be something when they if they don't get out to college and just say, I like women better than I like Pota. Big mistake, guys. Big mistake.
If you come to Orlando, Sandy, in February, bring some ribs with you, because Eddie will be there with some brisket, and we can have a barbecue off.
I will definitely be in Orlando. I'll be in Florida all February, and maybe some other time too. We'll just leave it at that for now. But anyway, guys, it's been a good stream. I had fun because I got to talk about Pota. Thank you very much for hanging out with us tonight, and for the super chats, and for Eddie breaking that crazy tie. Hopefully, a couple of you other guys will break that tie or knock some of those guys down off that tie. There's people that can do that as well. But I appreciate you guys. If you're a Discord member, we're going over to the after chat. If you're not a Discord member and you'd like to see what it's about, Discord. A Patreon member, go over to Patreon, join the top tier Patreon. It's free for 7 days. If you don't like it, just don't do it after the 7 days. You can still try it out for free, and it's a great time most of the time. Sometimes it's a little crazy, but not normally on the after chats anyway. Thank you guys. We appreciate you. And 73.
I'm gonna go buy a Sea-Doo. See you, Terry.
See you.